Hello and welcome once again to Talking Pictures Podcast. I'm your host David and join with me as always my co-host Brian. Brian, how are you today?
I was disappointed in the ending.
Okay, well before you get into that, I want to remind everyone, welcome to Talking Pictures Podcast. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to us in your favourite podcasting app of choice and follow us down on all of our socials. They're down, the links below. We've new episodes every single Wednesday as well as bonus episodes every other weekend from lots of stuff like TV shows that were cancelled too early, iconic voices, New Year's resolutions, gangster films,
You're getting into the nitty gritty of all
a myriad of bonus episodes. Stuff that we wouldn't do a dedicated episode on, but we think, you know what, I'd love to talk about 3 movies for 5 minutes each.
We got crazy with ideas.
So we've loads of stuff.
But this is not a bonus episode.
This isn't a bonus episode. This is a main Wednesday waffle. Our bonus episodes come out every other weekend. So if you have any suggestions for anything like that for bonus episode content,
be wary that it won't be until for at least a year by the time
we can squeeze some stuff in. If we get something good, we can move some stuff.
Oh, so it has to be good.
No, yeah. So challenge set.
Set the standard.
You can send in any suggestions to talkingpicturespodcast1@gmail.com, or you can comment.
We are not hard to contact.
No, you can contact us on any of our social posts or on YouTube or anything like that.
You just go on any random episode of,
write us a letter,
and just send a raven.
Send a raven, and we'll find it. But send them in, and we'll have a look at it. Maybe
you can literally just go on to any random episode on our YouTube channel, type a comment. We will not miss it.
We'll get it.
We are excited.
We're always looking.
We are excited for engagement.
Yeah. So, we're here today to talk about the newest entry into the Star Wars universe, that being Skeleton Crew. So, this is one that you were excited about for a while.
Okay, so let me just say, I was excited about this because it's a Star Wars show about characters we've never seen before in an environment that we are not used to before, not to full capacity. And it was coming from a creative head who is a great director and a great writer. That being Jon Watts. Guy who just did the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. So,
before you continue going, right?
Yeah.
Where you say great director.
Yeah.
I would argue, is he a good director outside of established properties? Because, and the only example I have to give you of this is Spider-Man movies versus Wolves.
You just didn't like Wolves.
I think a lot of people didn't like Wolves.
No, I think a lot of people did like Wolves.
I feel as though Wolves was quite bland, and I think that for a movie bringing back Brad Pitt and George Clooney together should have been a bigger deal than it was.
It was going to be a bigger deal. It was going to be in cinemas, and then Apple pulled it from its release.
Yeah, but I don't think that it didn't land for me. So,
and that's for you. That's for you. And you're saying the whole world.
I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look up what Wolves is on Letterboxd.
And while you do that, I am going to continue from where I was interrupted.
Well, it's only going to take 2 seconds, so give me one more second. It's sitting at an average of 3 stars, 3.0 on Letterboxd.
Okay.
And the reviews are right smack bang in the middle.
Do you want to know what I thought was a 3-star review from a great director? A complete unknown from James Mangold.
Yeah, I agree. But James Mangold doesn't typically do established franchises. I'm just saying that
Logan,
Jon Watts,
the Wolverine, Swamp Thing. He hasn't
done Swamp Thing yet.
He's doing a Star Wars movie.
He hasn't done the Star Wars thing yet. You can't reference things that haven't happened yet.
He's doing the process of it. He's done 2 musician biopics. Yeah,
one of them was brilliant. Walk the line.
I'm just saying, look, okay, you don't like Jon Watts, that's fine.
I think that it's too early to tell if he is a fantastic director.
I said
that's
great.
All I'm saying. I think I've just put my 2 cents in there, okay? But continue.
I will continue. Thank you for letting me continue.
No worries.
I think that it was a great opportunity to see some fresh blood, some fresh eyes, some fresh talent behind the scenes in the Star Wars project. Someone who was not Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni.
Yeah, that is a good...
Because the last time I feel like we got that, and let me finish, the last time I felt like we got that was with Tony Gilroy in Andor, right? And so I was looking forward to Skeleton Crew. But then I saw The Acolyte. And it's the same category. Talented writer, showrunner, director, coming in to do an IP in the Star Wars universe. And I hated The Acolyte. hated it. Didn't like it.
And you can hear you talking about that in our 2024 wrap up, because we won't go into it here because we're
Yeah.
limited time. Just before you continue as well,
Yeah.
I just want to say, if it sounds like there's a lot of wind and rain, we're recording this in the middle of the storm.
Yeah,
as well.
like
The same as last week.
There's a
So
storm last week and there's a storm this week.
it's a really long storm, so
Yeah.
just apologies if you
It's
can hear
just-
that in the background. That's just what it is.
it's just
so
lingering.
Don't mind it. We cannot control the weather. As much as I've tried, I cannot control the weather. But continue.
Can I continue?
I'm going to continue interrupting you to let you continue.
Thank you. So because
Before you go any further, continue. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
so because of my how do I describe it? Because I hate the Acolyte so much, my anticipation for Skeleton Crew was on mighty thin ice.
Yeah.
You know where that comes from. Mm-hmm. Where does it come from?
What, Mighty Thin Ice?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Joel, The Last of Us.
Oh. You're referencing one line that this character said. It's like, that, being on thin ice, that is just a general saying.
Troy Baker delivered that line impeccably well. But I'm sorry I'm constantly derailing the conversation into Skeleton Crew, but I was nervous that it was not going to be good.
Yeah.
I was nervous. I was just going to be another failure, another letdown, another disagreement, and then it's going to be used as ammunition
For why you have to stay within the Skywalker story of it.
or use as ammunition. We don't like black people. We don't like people in the LGBT community. We don't like people
child actors. We don't like any.
We don't like
excuse
women. We
any
like
excuse.
just whatever. So, thankfully, it was received quite well, and it was not used as ammunition for that. Guess what, David? There what appeared to be a lesbian couple in this show. I didn't hear any negative comments on this whatsoever. It was not all over the social medias. Might have been. I just not looking.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I will also say, to play devil's advocate, I didn't see a whole lot of people talking about Skeleton Crew at all.
Guess what? I feel the exact same way as Andor. I feel like people in the Star Wars community, let's say you, me and you were a little bit different when it comes to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Neither of us represent the toxic.
Yeah, that's a very clear thing to say.
Neither of us
are part of that toxic discourse of just hating anything Disney puts out, or
hating anything
hating for the sake of hating,
or hating something that's not a white man. That's straight. Okay. Having said that, I feel like we're still at some opposite ends. Whereas you, for example, I think people in your camp love things like Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Whereas I acknowledged what I liked and didn't like of Ahsoka, and I'd leave it at that.
But you love the grounded realism of Andor.
Yes, absolutely. And it's for something that is a prequel from a spin-off prequel. So it's established property.
Yeah.
It still lacks the IP, the recognizing of established characters from lore, you know?
Yeah.
Like with Boba Fett, it's introducing Danny Trejo with the big monster that Jabba had.
Yeah.
Or it brings back twin cousins of the Hutts, or it brings back Cad Bane. It brings back that Marshal that was in that second season premiere of The Mandalorian. So it's IP galore. And then you had Ahsoka that is bringing back everyone as well. The second season, Ahsoka's even better. And The Mandalorian's interspliced here and there throughout.
It's all self-referential, whereas Andor stands on its own and is contained within itself.
And that's why I feel like Skeleton Crew was. And I love this so much.
Yeah.
You thought this pirate from Rebels was going to pop up, and not once did the opportunity ever present itself to be.
Yeah.
The only one character that popped up in Skeleton Crew was a pirate, a minor character whose name I don't remember, but you recognize him from his alien look. And he's not even the second main pirate. He's literally just a noticeable standout pirate crew member.
And when we were initially talking about this, right, and I would have said it previously, maybe even when we recommended it at the beginning.
You did, actually.
I did say I hope we see Hondo in this, and he's the character from Clone Wars and Rebels, and
he is a pirate, is he?
He is a pirate.
Is he good?
So he like straddles the line like any pirate. He's like a nearly a Jack Sparrow of like, you're not 100% sure what side he's going to align with.
So he's good.
Yeah, more good than bad.
Yeah.
But is in it for himself.
Yeah.
And I hope to see him because he is a pirate character, and we're a show specifically about pirates.
So because he's an established character in the lore, self-referential.
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 Yeah. If he was to appear anywhere,
Yeah.
he would have appeared in that pirate port.
And he would have.
And if he had only been there, and he wasn't in it at all, if he had appeared there, yeah, I'm happy with that. He doesn't need to be a main player within the story. But seeing him there would have made sense to have him there and fit, and not be like too, shoving it in. Like maybe some of the other ones maybe some of the other cameos throughout the other Star Wars projects would feel to some people that it's like just forcing in a character to force them in.
I wonder if they did bring that character in, would it have given the show a little bit of a boost?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
I get that's just.
But then again, it's John Watts doing it. If it had been Dave Filoni showrunning this, guaranteed Hondo would have been in there.
Yeah, and kind of getting fed up of all that now.
And I can understand that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy to get more of Ahsoka. I'm glad that they've recasted. What's his name?
Baylan Skoll.
That's it. Best
With Rory McCann, is it?
McCann.
Rory McCann, yeah, the Hound from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to discuss that at all in any other episodes.
Oh, sure. Well, here we are on record
Yeah.
talking about it now, so I'm excited to see where that ends up. But I say Andor's my favourite Star Wars TV show. I think this could be my second favourite.
Okay.
I think. Mandalorian had 3 seasons. 2 out of 3 were great. And it was great at the time. It was the standout. It was the pinnacle profiler, And I just love Skeleton Crew so much. I spoiled it that I was disappointed at the end, and we'll get to that. But why did I love this? Why? Well, as a non-Goonies fan, I like the inspiration this Star Wars show took from the Goonies. Right, what's it about? 4 kids get lost in space, and they get mixed up in swashbuckling pirates, and in comes in Jude Law as a reluctant space daddy to, well, based on the trailers, to get them home for his own self-gain. And there is elements of that here and there. And what's the first thing we wanted? Don't make all the kids human.
Yeah, that's one thing now that you had said initially, and I kind of kept my eye on it when the initial trailer came out, and one of the kids was an alien, and I was like, okay, brilliant. And then a second kid has like augmentations, so even though human, they have a little bit extra about them.
Yeah,
but then
that's a great way to put it. Something extra about them.
What I loved about the whole show throughout was how many different species of alien there were.
Yeah.
On both the initial planet of At-Aten, but then just the diversity of the characters that we meet along the way, the pirates. Even if we do meet a humanoid character, they're in makeup and they're in some kind of effect on them.
There is that one
Kelly MacDonald's character.
I didn't realize that was her until I looked it up. It's crazy.
Then when they meet like the owl, that she's someone that helps them. She's an ally. The
wolf pirate,
the Brutus. Yeah, that was literally the next one I was going to say. Brutus, who takes over from Jude Law.
Yeah.
All of the characters within the spaceship, the pirate ship, and then also the characters that they meet there on the pirate space station, and then when they go to the spa, like they bump into like one of the Hutt clan.
He was just there in the background.
Just there in the background. They don't really bump into him, but
there's a big monster underground.
Like, just a real diverse cast of characters in terms of species.
Yeah.
And that just made that, for me, was a really, really great touch and a great detail to, oh no, this is taking place in a different galaxy. This is still within the Star Wars universe. There weren't very many like new additions to aliens or anything like that. I was like, okay, but I'm happy to see corners of every other Star Wars. Like, if we're going to reference other Star Wars projects, let's do it with the background characters, rather than any forefront cameos.
Yeah, and that's only something for us audience to spot. It's interesting to emphasize the fact that these kids are lost in space.
Yeah.
Okay, so they do that as literally as you just said it, by putting us in environments that we are not aware of. We don't know what these are. But then how do we double down on that for the characters themselves? Well, they live on a planet that is hidden from the rest of the galaxy, that are prohibited from entering the orbit of space.
And yeah, it's a great way to
It's a great world builder, I think.
Yeah, give them an obstacle to overcome. Like, you know, it should be as simple as, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Coruscant. I'm from Huth.
Yeah.
And okay, we know where that is. But to go, oh, I'm from At-Aten. No, don't be messing with me. It's like, what do you mean? Like, you know, it's a fabled land of treasure. And the way that every other character outside of At-Aten treats it as this mystical place. But for them, it is
Home.
And it's, right, the way that when you say home, right, in all of Star Wars, this place did feel the most like a home, because it's like suburbs and it feels like a American
It's an
town.
80s
town.
It's Goonies. It's
Yeah.
E.T. It's Stand By Me. It's
which
all
is something that we've not seen in Star Wars before. So to create this planet that does have a very familiar feel to it for us, the audience.
Yeah.
And then the characters themselves, like, oh, it's just home, but to everyone else in the world,
It's alien.
It's alien. We can't find it. It's nowhere knows where it is.
Didn't one of the kids point out to one of the creatures in the Pirate Space War, look, an alien? Isn't that? I think it was Neil who said
It probably
that.
was Neil, yeah.
And it's a great play on words and the ideology of what alien means.
Everyone's an alien.
Yeah.
Everyone within that universe.
We're
is
an alien to someone else from a different planet. That's it.
Simple as. But I think that, yeah, it's a great, like, mystery to create, like, to get back to At-Aten. But
Yeah,
it's
it's not just about getting home. It's about getting back to home with new information about what home really isn't.
yeah. Because, like, Goonies is about getting to One-Eyed Willie's treasure. And Jod is trying to get to the treasure. The kids are trying to get home. Like, they're both going to the same place.
Yeah.
But for different reasons. And that's like there's no intentional split of, well, I want to go to that planet and they want to go to this planet.
Yeah.
So we have to split up here. It's, no, we're going to the same destination for different reasons. And I liked over the mysticism of it for the pirates. But then when they get there, when we find out, why is this a planet of eternal treasure? Oh, because it's one of the Republic's mints. Like, they just print money. That's all they do. And that was a good reveal, I suppose, to have, like, oh, it's not... Because these kids, like, if it was a mystical planet where pirates hid their treasure or whatever, like, that would be known to the kids as well.
Yeah.
But because it's very simply a... like, bureaucratic, you know, the supervisor and the parents work for the supervisor and you have to do your exams and you have to do this because the work is to create the money.
It's going to be our future. Yeah. it's literally. But obviously they're kids. They've not been taught it yet. They don't know yet. And they don't know any different. And they learn as they go. When they see the pirates drool and gaw over the credits they have, well, don't be showing that off for everyone to see. Like, they're quite careful at times, and or at least they try to be. They're careless at times, but they're
also kids.
Yeah,
you have to give them that. But towards the end, when Jod walks into the safe and he finds the one pile of credits, and you get that panning shot of the whole vault, and it's like miles long, thousands upon thousands of these blocks of credits. That's like, there's billions and billions in this vault alone.
Probably
and he goes,
the main use of the CGI back,
probably, actually
the volume, I think.
And then he says, and how many vaults do you have like this? And they're like, over 1,000. And he's just basically like he is drooling. Like, he has that moment where the credits all fall down and he just puts his head under it and he's just showered by credits. And he's like,
he just lifts one and the rest of it falls in his hands. And
it's a great contrast to have that scene compared to the first, where the first scene at the beginning of the show where we get the real pirate moment.
He's wearing a helmet
and he goes into the vault and he finds one credit, you know, and the contrast of him picking up the one credit there versus at the end when he picks up the one credit and he's showered by, like, you know, you'd never have to worry. No one else in the galaxy would have to worry about money for the rest of their days. That's how much it appears to be in this one vault, let alone the thousands there. So
yeah,
it was a great, like, kind of, it felt like the journey for him was worth it.
Yeah.
I suppose by the end of it, like, of reaching his goal.
His introduction was interesting because we all knew it was him.
Yeah.
But we're following the kids for the most part of that episode, and they get lost in space. In fact, I think episode 1 ends with the ship lifting from the ground and the 4 kids are shot off into
hyperspace.
And that's it. And I like that. It was in the trailer, but I like how they say here, we're lost. We're like really lost. Yeah, you are. you can't get back home. Have fun.
Because it seems simple in every other Star Wars project, because we never follow kids or anything like that.
Yeah.
They know where they're going. They're in a ship, they have their maps, they know where they're going.
They have
but
adults.
They have an adult,
Yeah.
around with them. So we do feel like in this ship, we're lost. We
Yeah.
do not know where we're coming from.
I like, we get a sense of what these kids are, like, just to talk about them quickly and how they're introduced. We see, we get Wim. Obviously, Wim is he's our go-to kid, I think.
He's our introductory kid.
Yeah.
And he is very much kind of a surrogate for the audience in a way where he idolizes the Jedi as well, and
Yeah.
that kind of story, and the Star Wars story, as it were.
I remember when he goes up to Neil and
Yeah.
the two of
At
them,
the bus stop, yeah,
and
brilliant.
the two of them like pretend to.
Who hasn't done that as a kid?
Yeah.
Who has not? It's like when they pull up and the two of them and they
Yeah.
start pretending they've lightsabers. It's very childish, but it's very true to life. And I would absolutely believe that kids in the Star Wars universe would also play with lightsabers, fake lightsabers.
We've seen these type of character descriptions for kids before, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah.
And we know what Neil is going to be.
Yeah.
Like,
And you know what? I fucking love him.
fucking Neil.
Neil is the best character in the whole show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love Neil. I would die for Neil. I love him. He's brilliant.
Actually,
and I'm so glad they committed to having him be the alien.
Yeah.
You know?
Obviously, like, they don't make him cool. They don't make him ready. Like, just look at the Breakfast Club. Mm-hmm. Neil is I think he's the most nerd. Like, look at his little comb over hair and everything.
He's like kind of nearly like the chunk of Goonies as well.
Yes,
like a little
yeah.
bit overweight, and he's not as able as the other kids, but you can't help but love him.
That was a great mention, wasn't it? Like, my legs aren't as long as yours. It takes me a bit of an effort to climb these ladders.
Yeah.
Compared to Fern, who's just a human, like, it's just a human girl. Mm-hmm. I like that the girls, they look to be older. It's like
the girls felt more in charge.
Yeah,
they
seem to be like
maybe just a year older. Nothing too crazy.
I think maybe if Fern was 13, I think Wim would be 11.
Yeah.
I think
that's
I think
fair.
13, 12, 11, 10.
I would probably put Neil and Wim at the same age.
Yeah,
Fern is the oldest, and KB between the two.
Mm. As soon as I even saw the promotional art of Skeleton Crew, oh, one of the kids has a visor on their head. Mm-hmm. I want to know more.
That piqued your interest, just having the small little extra detail.
Because it was something extra, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then we see Fern and we see KB, they're off together. Fern seems to be the de facto in charge one, whereas KB she's always attracted to, oh, what's this gadget device? Or always
learning more,
Yeah, or always the one who's in the chair.
Yeah.
Learning the gadgets.
I like that about Fern as well. The fact that, like, we're introduced to Wim at the start.
Yeah.
And naturally, I think maybe in your own head, you do kind of see him as the main character, and so it would make sense for him to go on, and he's the one that wants to find the ship, or he finds the ship initially.
Yeah.
And he would be the captain. But no, it's always Fern.
Yeah.
Like, she is Captain Fern.
Oh yeah,
That's
but
right.
that's naturally so. Like she's just more mature than him.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it wasn't Wim and her being more mature and her having more of her wits about her, and then having to listen to Wim, or, you know, if SM33 was only listening to Wim because he was the captain,
yeah,
and going against kind of their objective. You know, I think it was good to have SM33 on the side of the kids.
Yes. Let's circle back to him.
Yeah,
because, even to his introduction, I need to get on record.
Yeah.
But yeah, like with KB, you just know there's something more. But they waited until like episode 5 to reveal it. They waited quite a while to get.
I think they took too long.
Really?
Yeah, because I assume when you say episode 5, it's when her stuff started malfunctioning and stuff like that. I felt it was too long because it felt like it just all of a sudden came out of nowhere.
Oh no, I remember she mentioned, is that steam or is that hot?
She only mentioned it in the episode before. She just was a bit hesitant, and then the next episode, that's when her parts started failing, and it just felt it was just, oh, all of a sudden this is a problem, as opposed to slowly layering it in. I felt, for me, that it just came out of nowhere. It's like, oh yeah, we better give something to KB.
Oh no, I feel the opposite. I knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. I would have been disappointed if we didn't get it. We needed to get it. Like, why is she the one where she's able to take on so much data in those little glasses. And why is that around her neck as well? And when the episode came with the split off, and okay, how do we best split off these characters so we get to know more about them by they getting to know each other a little bit more? Which, well, the only natural way to do it, like, because the best way to do it is by having the main boy kid go off with the secondary girl kid, and vice versa, and see how their behavior dictates or change how they interact, and like how Wim is so naive to the fact, oh well, if you're afraid about being friends with someone else, just hang out with me and Neil. Simple, like simple child thinking.
With that, you're right. That was the best way to split up each of them, and they all learn more about each other as well. You know, that Wim obviously saves her. He gets to be the hero. You know, and she even turns and was like, "Oh, I bet you didn't think saving someone's life would be not as big a deal." You know, like it's not a big grandiose thing. And
she thanks him like something like, did she say thanks Jedi? Or
she says thanks Jedi, and he learns about her and kind of the accident she had and how she feels that Fern doesn't treat her fairly because she still treats her exactly the same, and she wants to nearly be, you know, given a little bit of extra time, or like, you know, acknowledge the fact that I am different now. And then on the flip side, then Fern and Neil get to have a moment where she gets that, but with Neil, and realizes, oh, that's the way I've been treating KB. The only thing right about that is that I felt as though, in the same way that KB's thing came out of nowhere, not that it came out of nowhere, but it was just too all of a sudden. Why was Neil afraid of the trash crabs? It just felt like Neil had to go with Fern, but it wasn't like an organic way of... He just was like, no, I'm not sure about this, I think I'll go with Fern. As opposed to, I think I would have maybe just preferred if Wim and KB were like, no, we're going to follow... If all three of them were like that, and then Fern was adamant, like, no, I'm going back to the ship, and maybe Neil was like, no, I can't let her go by herself, or something like that.
No, I'd actually feel the opposite then. I'm glad the way it was done.
I just felt like it was out of nowhere. He was afraid of the crabs or something like that.
But Neil's always afraid. He's afraid of nearly everything. No, that's within his character, in my opinion. If he all of a sudden, oh no, I can't let her go on her own. Like, no, that would feel too jarring for me to think. No, okay. I'd feel the opposite. The way they did it is the exact way I took it as, and it was rightly so.
Okay.
But also on record, I didn't think KB's reveal of what she really is augmented because she was in an accident. Like, I think that's an interesting exploration for disabilities.
Sorry. I just need to be 100% clear.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that. What I would have a problem with is the fact that all of a sudden she was saying, oh, I haven't had maintenance in a few days or anything like that. If that had been a concern for her over the couple of episodes before, we need to get home, I need to find these things for like that.
I don't think you needed to make record on that. I think...
I didn't want it to come across as though I didn't...
You weren't.
Okay.
You weren't. You're not... I know what your concern is. That it felt too abrupt within the episode. I disagree, because... from my experience, I'm on the hunt for it. I'm binoculars up. I'm waiting to know more, because I know more is to tell. And that's only because she's the only one that's human, but has something extra. Anyone else who has extra is just by what their personalities are. The something extra with KB is to do with...
a physical change, a difference,
And that has also ties to her personality. She probably was the go-to gadget before she had her accident. I didn't know if she was even a robot at all. Like, was she revealed to be a robot? Like, don't know. Obviously, in the case, it wasn't in the end, but I did think that it was an interesting way to explore disability. Of sorts. Like, you can't do everything like you used to. It doesn't make you less. I think it makes you cool.
Well, she's able to do other things that the other kids can't. You know, she remembers the startup sequence to the ship.
She takes on the coordinates to get home.
She does all this other stuff, but it's other things that she can't do. You know, it's not disabled, it's differently abled. I think that's a good way to kind of look at it, and they do her character a lot of justice in that.
By that fact alone, she's my favourite character. She was my favourite.
Fair enough, yeah.
We talked a lot about that episode, so while we're on it, what did you think of the stop motion crab creature monster?
I didn't think much of it.
I liked it. I like that incorporation. Like, not the fact that it was a monster, but how they created it. It felt old Star Wars, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of. Do you remember in what was it in episode 5, like the worm from the planet? Like it kind of nearly would feel like that. Like just every now and again you'll run into something fucking massive, and you just it's not something that you can bargain with or deal with. It's just a giant force of nature, and it's like the big fish in Phantom Menace.
It wasn't a giant CGI monster. It was how they did it in the 60s or 70s and the 80s. I just thought, wow, that's.
Yeah,
we never get to
and
see
you know
much
what?
of that.
You know who I put that down to?
What?
The fucking fantastic director that is Bryce Dallas Howard. I want to go on record here and say, Bryce Dallas Howard, give that woman a Star Wars movie. Give her a Star Wars series. Let her have whatever she wants. She is fantastic. She has created some of the best Star Wars in the last 5 years. I have to really she is brilliant. I have to just applaud her. Well done, Bryce Dallas Howard. In everything that you do, you're brilliant.
While we're on that, this is the one Star Wars show where every director on credit is noticeable, in my opinion. We have John Watts, who did 2. We had David Lowery, who did 2. He did Pete's Dragon, The Ghost Story, and Peter Pan and Wendy. We had the Daniels, and strange enough, their episode didn't stand out much, except one shot.
With SM33.
Yes,
that was the only thing in it that
when he was swinging his arms.
Yeah, when he was like powering up and like going full mode. That was the only thing. I felt the Daniels episode was really like lackluster for who they are as directors.
Except for
that one shot.
Yeah.
It just was so. It could have been any other director. That's I think, and it could have been anyone that did that. And I think for them, those guys that are really, really stylized and have a certain way about them, because they did, for anyone that doesn't know, they did Everything Everywhere All at Once and Swiss Army Man and stuff like that. You know, they are really stylized, and yeah, it was only that one shot, and I felt kind of disappointed by the end.
But the shot did stand out, didn't it?
The shot did stand out, but when the credits rolled, that first time I watched it, I went, "That was the Daniels." I was really kind of flabbergasted, gabberflasted. I was all of the flastids.
Another guy who directed an episode is Jake Schreier. He did Beef season 1. He's doing season 2, I think, and he's directing the Thunderbolts.
Okay.
Another guy who directed Minari and 2024's Twisters. He directed episode 6 or 7, I think. Can't remember. And yeah, of course, Bryce Dallas Howard. Great standout selection of directors, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's the best selection of directors and the most diverse collection of directors, in my opinion. But yeah, back to when the kids were about to be shipped off into the adventures. It's great that the parents were
aware. They're not just lost. They know where they are.
Yes. Wim's father and Fern's mother and KB's moms and Neil's mother. He's the one with the big family with all the siblings. Is nice as well. And I wanted to mention this introduction of SM33. I gotta sit up for this. I think this is a great. This is something only I could say to you, probably. It's a great setup for the adventure the kids are about to embark upon. The ship is lifting up into the air. Big vibrations all around. It's about to course its direction straight up to the sky into a specific direction. And there's this shot of the kids charging from one end of the hallway all down to the other and take a right turn off screen. Whereas the incapacitated droid that is sitting onto the left side of the screen is just sitting static, but with the vibrations of the ship, it's sort of jiggering a bit. And then as the kids take the turn off screen, the robot shifts his face towards the camera, and then its light starts to flicker on as the shot lingers a bit closer onto the face because the robot's about to wake up. I thought that is a great significance for the start of an adventure.
Yeah.
Because it's the end of an episode. We know what's going to come. Obviously, you're thinking, well, what's this robot going to be like? And it was great. And it's fucking Nick Frost.
Yeah. He really suits him as well. I think as
really
a voice.
does suit him.
I thought that he's a great robot, right? He's a great droid. SM33.
I'm not going to lie. I think he might be my favourite.
Okay.
List any random droid off right now.
R2D2.
I think SM3 is better.
BB-8.
Smee is way better.
That was another thing I wanted to bring up. The play on SM33.
I think
flip those threes around. You got Smee, like Captain Hook Smee.
I think he's better than K2SO.
That's in Solo, isn't it?
Rogue One.
Oh yeah. So Rogue One. I can't think of the name of the one in Solo.
I know the one you're talking about.
Lando's one.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I would see. I love BD1. You've never met BD1. He's in the Jedi Survivor games.
Oh,
he's the companion.
I know that droid. I'm talking about droids that have
you can have a conversation with.
You can have a conversation with, like, so
3PO.
No, Smee. SM33.
Chopper.
SM33.
Okay, fair enough. The voice really suits him. He is a great, like, he's a great pirate surrogate of like, he knows the code and he enforces the code and stuff like that.
And this is the closest thing these kids have to an adult, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like, not only is it not a human, he's a pirate and he's a robot pirate. So he's got limited thinking. His worldview is only dictated by that of his code and what his captains deemed his code to be.
He's reminiscent of Ben from Treasure Planet as well.
Yes,
because of the fact that he has his memory taken out of the coordinates for At-Aten, the same way Ben did for Treasure Planet. You know,
obviously, SM33 is a much better character.
Yeah, well, we're talking about Ben from Treasure Planet, all right. But, like, I mean, there are elements to this. With any pirate story, you're going to get elements of Treasure Island as well. So that's that element. But yeah, no, he's a great character, and I do like his kind of turnaround at the end when Jod calls for, to challenge for the captaincy.
He challenges Fern, and while he didn't want to, kill Fern, he forced her to
yield,
and so he took command.
And then when later on, when he takes command of the frigate of all the pirates, and SM33 is like, actually, there is no captain for the Onyx Cinder because you can only be captain of one. And then when they have their little Wim and him have a little back and forth, Wim and Jod, and then when Fern comes in, says, I call unclaimsies, and Jod is like, that's not how it works. And SM33, that's close enough. And he sides with the kids, punches Jod in the face, and he's like, I like the kids better anyway. And you're like, okay, the SM33 is a great personality. He likes the kids. He does what he wants to do as well, even though he's bound by the code. He's not strictly bound by it. I thought it was a great moment. I was like, it's close enough.
But what he does, he punches Jod first, and then he said, that's close enough. I lifted myself off the couch, and then he opens up his shields to get everyone off the ship. He does that at the start as well. He's protecting the kids. Like, he's actually looking out for them. He's like their protector. And at the end, near the end of the second last episode, Jod jumped on that ship and he's in the cockpit. Stand back, kids. I got this.
And he slices him in half with the lightsaber.
He cuts his head off.
Yeah, I was like, no, I didn't want him to go. So I'm glad he didn't. He didn't end. He's not dead.
But I took that as he killed him. Like, he's a protector.
He's like the chunk almost. He's like a real, an adult figure, but not an adult, almost in a way.
But he's close enough.
Yeah.
Like, he's there to protect the kids. Like, he's looking after them. Under the pirate's code, of course. But yeah, he's great. And like, I just see the kids now in their lived in after adventure, where they're just fighting over who gets to keep Smee. Who gets to keep 33 with them for the week.
Yeah.
It's great. But onto Jod's introduction into the cell when the kids are captured. So, where did you think Jod was in terms of him being a Jedi, or at least a Force user? Because the way I took it, right, I knew, thanks to the Wikipedias, he was going to be a Force user, and I thought, okay, not Jedi. I think he is going to be someone who was discovered to have had the Force, but was hidden from ever getting to use it. Because of Order 66. And if you know the story of Cal Kestis, is that his name?
Yeah.
He's hid it. but he's hit it to the point where he's only used it very sparingly. And because he's not trained by the Jedi, he's not trained how to use it, he's only able to use it very sparingly to lift little things.
Yeah.
If he was able to use it, he would be so powerful.
Yeah. I initially, right, before the whole thing started, I thought that he would be much more of a Han Solo smuggler type. A pirate by himself, not a captain or anything like that. So I thought that maybe like a one-man ship or something like that, that he is running it. Nearly the kids run into him, and him and SM-33 are like the Han Solo and the Chewbacca. You know, they're the skeleton crew. They are the skeleton crew refers to the minimum amount of people that you need to run a ship.
Yeah.
So I thought that that's kind of where it was initially. However, in that opening sequence in episode 1, as soon as he came in with the helmet, I was like, okay, then well that's Jude Law.
Yeah.
There's no.
It's Jude Law. It's Jude Law.
I know the language of film. I know that you're hiding his face. I know that that's Jude Law. You know. So then when he arrives later on and he's in the brig, I'm like, oh yeah, well that's Jude Law from earlier on. You know. And so there was no, and the fact that then every single time that we meet a new character, they call him a new name.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, he's a real like. He's just a pirate. He just gives fake names around the place. You know. So it only cemented further. And I like that there are characters within the Star Wars universe that are Force sensitive but not Jedis, because that's, you know, the way I think it leads, it furthers into an idea that was kind of, it began in, or it didn't begin, but it was one of the main messages of The Last Jedi, which was that anyone can be a Jedi.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that little kid in the stables that uses the Force to grab the broom.
Yeah.
You know, and with training, yeah, he'll become a powerful Jedi. Without, he will be exactly what Jod is of, I can lift the knife from across the room and into my hand. I'm not doing big feats of strength. I'm not lifting an X-Wing out of the water like Luke and Yoda can.
You're teasing what you are trying to communicate, what you're capable of through minimal use.
Yeah.
But that is all he is using at the end of the day. It's just minimal uses. Lifting a cup in front of... Well, he lifts something in front of him. He lifts the key close to the gate. He
can do enough to prove or to trick someone into thinking, I am a Jedi. Look, watch this. And it moves, you know, the key across the room or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do like the idea from Star Wars that, and I wish they would have kept this line through from episode 8 to episode 9, which is that anyone can be a Jedi. And, you know, that Rey didn't come from the Palpatines and she's just a nobody. But yet can still be a powerful Jedi. I like that aspect of it, and I hate that they were reactionary. I know you were going to say there that I hate that was an aspect of it. I would have liked that. I just like that idea that anyone can be the hero of a story, you know? So to go back to it a little bit within this, that, yeah, anyone can be a Force user. Yeah. Everyone technically has the ability, you know, you just have to hone it. It's a skill that needs to be trained. And that was the case with your one in Ahsoka as well.
Who's your one in Ahsoka?
I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Is she good or bad?
No, the Ahsoka's apprentice.
Sabine
Wren. I couldn't think of her name. I knew it began with an S. But yeah, Sabine can't use the Force for the whole first season, but she trains and
now she can leap
what's
his name across a mile.
She goes from 0 to 100 pretty quick. Yeah, she maybe should have gone a couple of steps, you know, but that's not what we're talking about.
Watch what I can do. But yeah, I was right. I got it.
What?
I knew exactly what Jod was, and he was revealed to be so. So, point for Brian.
I think there was a point where I did still trust him, right? And it was to my own detriment. I think that he's a very charming actor, and so a very charming character. Because, like...
Okay, well, think of it this way, right? You know he's in it for his self-gain. He wants to break out because he knows the kids are from At-Hatton, so he wants to explore this idea. Now, at first you might thought, shit, what if he was given a deal by Brutus and the rest of the gang to, if you can find out where these kids are and we can tail end follow you, we can pardon you. But no, it's all for his own self-gain to get back in charge. And so he's trying... How many... Yeah, you have to take a shot every time he clenches his fists and he gets very ticked off by the kids just not doing exactly what he wants them to do.
And he can't say anything because...
They're kids.
They're kids and they're also his way back to At-Hatton, really, you know.
And he's reliant on them. And then when they you know, get the clue on that, you have to do what we say. You work for us. And then he's... You know, it's great. I love it. And even then, when SM33 was eyeing him up with the one eye, get it? And he doesn't trust him immediately, and then SM33 he charges backwards, and he as he says "I," and then he comes back again, "I." Do you remember that? It was a great dynamic between the kids, and then he had that beautiful scene with Wim. Wim is just feeling down on his luck. He's incapable.
That's why I'm so I'm so trusting of him. Because he does have these really sweet moments, you know. He tells Wim to kind of get rid of his attachments, and you could kind of nearly see as Wim, right? That's the Jedi way to get rid of the attachments, but also the pirate way. You know, don't be relying on it. You need, you know, all for one and one for all.
Don't have attachments. We believe that's exactly what Jod believes, and he believes that to be the best way forward. And of course, Wim's going to take that on as well. It's just a shame that it's a Jedi that Wim wants to meet. It's all he wants to meet. A Jedi. And he could not have met further from the truth. He met, in an objective perspective, the worst portrayal of what he thinks is a Jedi. The opposite end of that scheme.
And like the way that as well, he gets the lightsaber, but uses it in a bad way, but it's still the glowing blue.
I'm not going to lie. I thought, this is being set up as a heroic moment here for Wim, because he looked at the lightsaber, and it was only when he was holding it like that could be upside down. And it was upside down.
And if you go back and watch it again, because I watched it a second time, when he's standing there before he ignites it, you can tell it's the bottom. The hole is too small. It's a pinhole. You're like, oh, that's the bottom, Wim. Turn it around.
When they enter that vault, we're all convinced at this point, like he's their.
I trust him.
What's the comparable to this guy? He's the found father for these kids in their adventure, and it's all going to be sad and emotional when he has to bid the kids farewell, and he has to go off on an adventure, and they're all crying and upset. That's what this was setting up to be. This is episode 4, the end of episode 4. This is after SM33 was going to tear them limb from limb, and Jod saves them.
Yeah.
And in here,
and even in that episode, right, before they go up and SM33 turns on them, when he returns all the herd to the other tribe, and Neil runs up and hugs him. And if you watch that scene again, right, Neil hugs him. He doesn't like push him off or anything like that. He puts his hand on his back, and he also reaches his other arm around Wim and pulls Wim in as well, which is something Jod does. And I don't know, is that like him trying to
just
endear himself to the other tribe, which he doesn't need to do at all. And he doesn't need to endear himself to the kids.
Is he just showing it off as a display?
I don't know. It's a small little, like, just Neil is already hugging him, and he pulls Wim in as well. I can use get in here. And I just thought of it as like a little, like, oh, he didn't need to do that. He could have literally just kept hugging Neil. But the fact that he thinks about the other kid as well, you know, it's not just him, it's all of them. So that kind of endeared him to me. So when he does have the betrayal in episode 4, at the end of that episode, I was like, oh no, I actually do like you. And yeah, you get frustrated by the kids, as any adult would, as 4 kids are jumping on a bed and when they're trying to get back home and there's the other pirates after them. Like, it's a frustrating situation. So I didn't put that down to any badness, but just a man who's never dealt with kids before having to deal with 4 of them at once.
I didn't see it coming either.
No. Out of nowhere.
And do you know what felt more frightening? It's how they did it. It's how they filmed it and edited it together. So they're after watching the hologram of the pirate that was never really discovered.
In the way that the hologram played, where it was obscuring his face, I thought maybe that we were still going to like bump into him later on or something like that, or like he was going to be a cameo or something.
He was going to be revealed to be the supervisor.
But it was just a broken hologram. Maybe they just didn't want to put a face to it.
They might get a season 2.
Maybe.
I hope.
We'll talk about that at the end. Yeah, go ahead.
But they watch the hologram, it's over. And the kids are all watching them. And then they all... I forget what words and dialogue they use, but when it was Wim and Firm who were looking at them, Jod, we gotta go. And it's just his back looking forward, but it's only we as the audience watching their POV. We're looking at Jod is back. Mm-hmm. Cut back to the kids and they're asking him again. Cut back to Jod again. He's just
deciding is now the moment, is now the right time to do it.
And he turns around after lingering on his back for longer than our anxiety would have liked. Mm-hmm. And then he enforces the code to challenge Fern. Mm-hmm. And because he's an adult, he can kill her if he wanted to. He didn't.
But he doesn't give it. Yeah, he also, like, he says it, and even before he pulls out his knife, he says, just yield. I don't want to have to hurt you. And he gives her, like, it's multiple times he says it. He says it maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
And it's only when she swings at him does he then, put her in a hold in a way. It's like, just say yield. You have to say yield. Like, I don't think he does actually want to harm the kids at that point.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to harm them.
At that point.
Later on, he probably does get really frustrated and wants them gone.
But I like the way he grabbed the lightsaber anyway. And I forgot all about it, that he had it up until when he used on SM33. He's bad as well, though. Who did he order to fill that hole full of acid again?
SM33, yeah. Because he had access to the...
And when the kids held Brutus in that claw...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he shot him. Yeah, he just reassumed command.
And did you hear Brutus whisper to Jod, careful?
I don't think I heard that.
I heard him say, careful on what you're about to do. And he's just standing there thinking. And I like that his pistol is sort of designed to look like a 17th century pirate pistol.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he assumed command there. And every moment he got closer, he got worse. Mm-hmm. And even to the point where he's trying to convince his former crew why they should spare him, and how desperate he is to say At-Hatan is there, it's the way in. Like, he was about to be airlocked out.
It feels like he's constantly having to, like, clutch at straws. Like, no, it's this. No, it's this. And he just gets lucky a lot of the time that's what it is.
I feel like he's reminded me of a character in Guardians of the Galaxy or in somewhere in the MCU. I feel like he's more reminded of someone similar to Loki in a way.
Yeah, I can see that in Loki,
but not an exact comparison. Mm-hmm. But, he's always going to get a speech going, right? Mm-hmm. I'm hungry. You hungry? Yeah, the speech where he's trying to convince everyone to hear him out on At-Hatan. And it was a great reveal on how At-Hatan is hidden. Mm. It's a planet, essentially,
within another gaseous... Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not something we've ever seen before. Mm. So I thought it was good. It was interesting.
And what did you think of the ship when it was being consumed by that machine? The kids sort of eject its outer layer and the interior layer reveals itself, and it's like a brand new sparkly ship. Remember?
I'm just trying to think what I thought about it. I thought it was cool. I was like, oh, okay, there was a ship under the ship.
Yeah.
And I guess the initial layer was just like an extra layer of armour.
Yeah,
and it's more so pirate, I suppose. The Onyx Cinder part of it, Captain Renault, I guess he wanted to hide the fact that it was a Republic ship or something like that, because, well, at the end of the day, this probably, when the other captain, when he was knocking about, probably was the time of the Empire. Probably in that interim time between episode 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So probably didn't want to be going around in a Republic ship, because the Empire would not only go after you because you're a pirate, but also it's a Republic ship. So you're drawing attention to yourself when you don't want it.
Overall, where are you at with it before we get into the finale?
Overall, I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much the first time I watched it. Right. I watched it up until episode... How many was there? 8?
Yes.
I watched it up until the end of episode 6. Then I was like, okay, we're going to do an episode on it. I want to rewatch all of these then again. Because we initially weren't going to do an episode on it. So I waited until the last 2 episodes came out and I watched them much closer together.
Yes.
Okay. I initially wanted to do them 1 episode a day. And then I ran out of time. So I had to watch them like 3 or 4 episodes together. Watching it like that, I enjoyed it a lot more. I think waiting the week to week was too long. But seeing the journey, because there's no time between episodes. Every episode is very much like follows on to the next. Yeah. There is no time between episodes or anything like that. So I think watching them concurrently was a much more enjoyable experience.
Okay.
As a whole, I think that I'm happy with this. If they don't make a season 2, I'm happy with this as the adventure.
Right.
If any of these characters were to pop up again, it most likely would be Jod.
Yeah.
Or it might be any of the adults in more of the New Republic kind of positions or something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really expect to see the kids again, to be honest, because realistically, if they're going to make another season of this, we're probably waiting 2-3 more years.
Three.
Three. So all those kids are going to age up, and they're kind of nearly unrecognizable as kids, because kids these days grow up so quickly, you know, from season to season.
Naturally so. Yeah.
Naturally so. So
it's a shame, because the kids being kids is the draw of the.
yeah,
That's the thing. It doesn't really work if they're middle-aged teenagers.
yeah.
They're kind of going to be unlikable then.
Yeah. So a major criticism I have of the show, and it's not of the show, okay? It's of the name At Atten. I hate the name At Atten.
Okay. Oh,
I just think it's a really bad name.
I think it's fine.
No, I think planets should have one name. Not planets should be one word, not 2 words. Anytime that they were like, oh no, SM33, we want to go to At Atten, not At Akron. And I was like, what? You have a planet and another planet that have almost exactly the same name. At Atten and At Akron. You've changed one letter. It's like, come on. I just didn't like the name, and I couldn't get over it, because it's such a central part of the show. The fact that literally every time they say it, SM33, I never heard of no At Atten. Can't say I don't remember no.
Can't say I've ever heard of no. I loved every time he said it.
I did like it when he said that, because it was so methodical, and it was clearly a response that he had pre-programmed or something.
It's like his personality is subject to his code.
It's like an involuntary. Anytime At Atten is mentioned, he has to say that.
It's just like an instinctual reaction you do. It's like, if I was to fucking slap you across the face, you're gonna raise your hand.
Yeah,
exactly. Or like things like that.
So, but yeah, no, planets should have one name.
Okay,
one word.
Okay, it's a very standout, specific pet peeve.
It's a very nitpicky thing. I absolutely 100% acknowledge and agree with you that it is nitpicky, but it's such an integral part to the show of that it's the name of the planet, you know. Just name any other planet from Star Wars, they're all one word names.
Okay, you know, Star Wars is a big galaxy.
It is, absolutely. So
it's
maybe
a big galaxy.
It's a big galaxy, far, far away.
It's big.
It's big, yeah.
I think we can allow. Okay, all right. Oh, I'm not gonna.
It's nitpicky. No, I 100% acknowledge it's
I'm not gonna engage in this anymore.
Yeah.
I think any frustrations I have with this show is more warranted for conversating.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But when he took out SM33 and he's just like, Fern is just staring him out, and he's like, "What are you gonna do?" They're kids. They can't do anything. He's got a lightsaber. What a dickhead.
Yeah, he's gone full villain at this point, yeah.
And at this point, he's getting to the point where there's no redemption for him. He never expected this from him. And then he's warning them, if you tell your parents, I'm going to kill them. And then even when the kids are finally reunited with their parents, which, by the way, I think could have been filmed a little bit better, more emotional, more triumphant. The kids finally made it back to their kids, and it felt very music less.
I think maybe if it had been the last episode, it would have been more triumphant, but there was more story to go. They probably didn't want that big triumphantness, but yet the danger is still there. Like, if you think about it, if you directly relate it to the Goonies, when all the kids are reunited with the parents, the movie's over. You know, the adults are arrested right there, and they see the ship go off, and it's a big triumphant moment. Whereas this is in the second to last episode, they're reunited, but there's still more story to tell with the kids and the parents and the bad guys.
I think because the parents saw their kids from a distance, but they were brought down by the elevator shaft. Like, oh, you're so close. And then when he ignited the lightsaber, I guess he's just going to reveal himself down in there, but he didn't. And then forces Fern.
Yeah, I would have thought that if I was the parent, I'd be like, why are you igniting your lightsaber? Yeah. Like, I would immediately think, red flag.
Yeah, well, the parents are supposed to be stupid in this case. When the kids are with them, the parents are stupid. When the parents are on their own, they're doing adult things.
Yeah.
Even though it was an interesting thing to see them all get stunned and taken out one by one.
Passing off the communicating thing.
It was actually a nice thing to see. I like that. But I thought that the way it was setting up its finale, where the kids are stuck in their houses and they're being watched by the droids. Like, these are more droids than we've ever seen before.
Oh, yeah.
Like, these are like old Republic type droids.
Yeah, they're not there to do work. They're just cameras.
Yeah,
For the
pretty much.
supervisor.
And I like how when they... Okay, so it's revealed that the supervisor, it's AI.
Did you recognize the voice?
Stephen Fry.
Yeah. I was trying to... I was like, who is that?
Who is the voice?
Is that? And
Yeah.
then I got it. I didn't have to look it up. It was, Stephen Fry. Yeah, that makes sense. He fits...
He does fit that.
A droid.
I also like how he was onto him. Like the droid, the supervisor was not naively dumb to just take on Jod's word as what was his position?
An emissary.
Emissary.
Yeah. I think that they did a good job with that of showing how isolated At-Aten was, because there was 2 instances. The first one being that one there, where the supervisor calls him out and he says, the last message we received from the Republic was that all Jedi were enemies. So which are you lying about? So obviously we're placing it here. That was Order 66.
Yeah.
You know. But then also there was another one when they met the Owl in episode 3.
Yeah.
And they, we've learned about the galaxy. We know about Coruscant and Alderaan. And then she turns like, you don't know the most recent history then, probably, because Alderaan is destroyed. So it's a great just like little... They're in their own little pocket.
Yeah.
They have not gone beyond that barrier, and no one has come in or out in a long, long time.
They're lost in time.
They're lost in time, exactly. They're at least, this is between episodes 6 and 7, so you're talking at least kind of 20 years from when Revenge of the Sith was. So they've been by themselves for 20 years. That's, in a way, like the parents, when the Republic fell, those parents could have been teenagers themselves.
Yeah.
The same age as the kids. So
It's great world building within their own little planet, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you're forced to, you look at a supervisor, this guy doesn't look any more of an ally than Jod, but you're going to side with supervisor because he's your supervisor. And get him, Jod. I thought we were about to get a big lightsaber fight with Jod and all the cameras, but no, he pulls a Qui-Gon Jinn and just
straight in,
and okay, that's redundant. And then he brings in all the pirates down there into the atmosphere, into the ground. Bastards. Shooting down all the structures, shooting at civilians.
Because they had it. They didn't need to.
No, they didn't.
They had every single credit in that vault. In all 1,000 vaults.
And even Jod said, we're just going to take our share and leave. No, they're here to stay. Like, every step forward we go.
Any single vault would have been enough. One vault would have been enough for every pirate on that ship.
And every step forward we go, Jod just keeps digging himself into a hole of not returning to redemption. And like, I'm thinking, how are we going to conclude this? How are we going to finale this off? And every step forward we were going, I was like, he's not going to die. He's going to be jailed. All the pirates can escape, but he's going to get a finale worthy for my satisfaction.
Well, I couldn't see any of the characters killing Jod.
Oh no, never. Not even the parents. Even to the point, like the parents they would work in self-defense as opposed to offense.
Yeah,
And
if anything, he's in a ship by himself with a load of credits, and they turn back on the barrier.
Yeah,
and he's blasted by that. Like that's the only way you could see him dying. Otherwise, it has to be imprisonment.
And you know what I love as well? What's the plan of action here?
Yeah,
call the good guys. Call the X-Wings. Call the real heroes. And I like how the X-Wings pilots are here. They're portrayed. Like, why didn't you go after ship? But the kids are on it. We can't shoot it down. I love how they're portrayed here. I love how the key is to get them back. And Neil, he's in that little gunship, which, by the way, I don't recall being there.
In the other planet. And that's what...
Why is there a gunship there on top of a roof?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that either, but he's there doing his part, and KB gets back on the ship, and she pilots the ship herself. She resuscitates SM-33, and that was a great reveal as well.
He's like, hold my head straight.
And he's great. And Wim and his dad, I like that his dad was involved as well, to go back to go to the tower where the supervisor is, and that's where the whole face-off is with Fern and Wim. They take on Jod, and between his blaster and the lightsaber, it was a great finale to see how it was going to run its course. Was someone going to get injured? Was someone going to die? Was someone going to indirectly kill someone else? And everything known to media does this, where they make you think a character dies, but they were coming close enough where they made me think that KB crash land and died. Obviously, it's not
I
the
didn't
case.
believe it because she was a kid. I didn't feel like any of the kids were in actual danger.
Yeah,
But I can understand from
that.
yeah.
They lingered on it, and they showcase that Jod was upset with it. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't want any of this to happen. Well, you are
directly responsible.
you're just replacing yourself as a supervisor, and you've got all these pirates who no, you're directly responsible for it. And they remove the shield, and they've exposed themselves to the rest of the galaxy, and now in comes the X-Wing fighters, and they shoot all the pirates away. Good riddance. And obviously the tower, I don't know, was that tower gonna blow up? Was that being destroyed, or was...
No, the tower was okay. It was the frigate that was destroyed.
Right.
And it destroyed the school along the way.
Yeah, the school blew up. But
Solving Wim's problem of not having to take the test.
but
Everything worked out in the end.
yeah,
for
exactly.
Wim.
Well, what did you think of Jod then? Because Wim didn't want him to stay there. Like, he's telling him to come on, but Jod's just staring him off. It's like, no, I've made my bed. Mm-hmm. And he's watching all this. He's watching how the good guys have come, and that's just ruining his whole ideology on what the good guys are. Mm-hmm. And I get the meaning behind it, but don't end it just like that with him. And as a domino effect, the kids go off to go to KB in the ship, and she falls out of the thing, and oh, did we win? And they win. Mm-hmm. And then the kids are brought out of the school by their parents, and Wim looks up at the sky, and
The first time really they've seen
X-Wing
the galaxy.
fighters. Yeah,
No, the galaxy. Because they've always only ever seen the barrier.
No, you're right. But also he sees the X-Wing as well in the sky.
Yeah, he does see them as well, yeah.
And I took that as, oh, his hero now is no longer the Jedi.
But it's the X-Wings. Yeah, that you could see that is where he's going to go going forward,
yeah. Don't cut to black there.
No, I liked it. I thought that was like a good, just an end. Like, I don't need every single bow to be wrapped. We have media literacy. We know what those things mean. We know that Jod is going to be captured by the X-Wings. There's no way else off the planet. And no other character within that world could get off planet. So Jod's not going to find a ship now to go off.
I'm sorry. I just wanted an extra 10 minutes of 3 months later. Things are getting back into normal.
Bit of an epilogue, yeah.
A bit of an epilogue where their living conditions are being restored. Their ideology is slightly changed because now the New Republic, they're integrating themselves, or they're integrating Aten into the New Republic, and so we have emissaries and politicians introducing them, catching them up to speed, and trying to install economic change into their planet.
Yeah.
And how Aten can contribute to that with Republican credits. Old Republic credits, I should say. Mm-hmm. And then we followed to the kids all going to school, and we see the four of them meet up, and they're all great. And I don't know if there was any bullies in the show, probably one. Like, they're perceived as heroes, and those are the cool guys, but they don't care. They're all happy with each other.
They're just happy to be friends. Yeah,
they're happy to be friends. They get on great.
Yeah.
And then one of them gets to have SM33. Maybe it's KB because she's the gadget one, and it's your weekend to have SM33. Mm-hmm. They split them off like how divorced
change
parents.
Custody.
Change custody. I think that's fun. I think that'd be great. Like, SM33 is okay to not be a pirate anymore. He just likes being with the kids. Mm-hmm. And then
or maybe they keep the ship as a clubhouse, and SM33 is there or something like that.
That'd actually be good as well. And then I'd like to end it in a way where the kids, all four of the kids, I don't know, you can write something to warrant them visiting their, probably what their first prison is on this planet. Well, I'd imagine there's no prisons on this planet.
Can't imagine so, yeah.
Based on how the supervisor ran it. Mm-hmm. So they've installed their planet's first prison or rehabilitation center, and they welcome visits. Or maybe the kids have an assignment where they have to learn something, and they know just the guy who can teach them on that because of something they foreshadowed earlier in the show. And that is them visiting Jod, and he's in, of sorts, a prison.
Yeah.
And he's reluctant to be with them. He's reluctant to see them. He's still, angry at how his plan and his dreams were foiled just because he the way he viewed his actions, he just doesn't want to be hungry. But then he cracks a smile anyway to still see them. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, no, the epilogue, that sounds like a nice epilogue. All right.
It just would have tugged at the heart again. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I think I just made that sound better than what it was in the end. I was just disappointed by that fact, and now I think if I'm going home today, I'm going to be thinking of Skeleton Crew with that.
That's how it ended.
That's
for
how
you.
it ended
Yeah.
for me.
That's
Yeah.
okay. That's a nice way to end it. Yeah.
I'm instilling that in my memory, and now I don't need a season 2. I don't need it.
I don't think I need a season 2 either.
But I want one now because that's not what happened.
Yeah.
It-
You want a finality to it. You want a more concrete ending.
Because I just loved everything else about it.
Yeah. No, that's fair. It's not bad to want more. I think I'm satisfied with the story that it was told. That
Do you know what? I think I'd be content with that. Would be how Andor can end, regardless of the finality fate of Andor, Cassian Andor. But with Skeleton Crew, it just made it to 97%.
Yeah.
There's nothing homely about it in the end. I just
Yeah.
needed that extra 10 minutes that I just generated on this podcast, and now that's how it ended for me.
Okay. Well, if you enjoyed how Skeleton Crew ended, either in the show or how Brian ended it, no. Well, we just want to say thank you so much for listening to this. I assume that we're finishing, are we? Are you happy?
yeah, I'm
okay,
I'm
brilliant. Thank you so much for listening. Can't say I ever heard of no Talking Pictures podcast. And thanks so much for listening to this episode of Talking Pictures podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app of choice. We're available on all of them, whether that be Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on Pocket Cast, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, absolutely everything. Wherever you listen to your podcast, we are there with new episodes every single Wednesday, as well as bonus episodes every other weekend. Make sure you're following us on all of our social medias. They're down the links below. If you have any suggestions for anything you'd like to see us cover, or any bonus episodes or anything like that, make sure to send them into talkingpicturespodcast1@gmail.com. We'll definitely take that into consideration. Brian, any final words before we let these people go?
Good closing, David.
Thanks, Brian.
Aye.
Aye.